Welcome back to the channel, and I hope you are well wherever you are. In this series, I'm going to offer advice and helpful tips to be successful in your psychology degree. We'll cover a range of things from effective studying habits, best practice in revision, and how to write essays and think critically. In our first episode, we're going to focus on that very first day when you start your degree, outlining expectations for your degree and useful tips to help you succeed in your studies. So what we did was we asked students who had finished or were currently finishing their psychology degrees and asked them what advice they would give to a new student. Here are the best 5 tips that I think they gave. The first tip that they gave is to just relax. I think this is a really useful one because often at the start of something new, it can be very scary and anxiety provoking. We might often feel like we don't belong, or look at our peers and assume that they know what they're doing, or maybe even look at them and think that they are better than us. We may often feel like an imposter, as if we don't have the ability to do a psychology degree, and this is a genuine phenomenon, often referred to as imposter syndrome. The best advice you can give yourself when starting out is to realise when you're having these ways of thinking and try and rationalise these thoughts. Speak to others. Almost all other students will be feeling the same way as you, but just give yourself also a bit of time. It might take a few weeks to adjust and get used to your new surroundings and how things work in your new environment. But with time, things will get easier. But in the meantime, just don't go too hard on yourself. The second tip they gave is to get to know your peers. There are obviously good reasons outside of your degree as to why you should make friends and how having a good social network will help you at university, but getting to know your peers on your course will also help you in your degree. First, it might help with that first issue we talked about, where you think you're an imposter. But moreover, peer support in learning is really useful. They can be a motivational support to keep you going with your studies. You can study and revise with them. They can help you understand the content by, for example, checking if you and your friend understood something the same way, or that person might also be able to help explain something to you that you didn't quite think you understood. Of course, you also have your lecturers for those things too, but sometimes having a couple of friends on your course can be really useful. The third tip they gave, and perhaps it's an obvious one, but I still think a really good tip, is just to not procrastinate. Often this is something that we fool ourselves into thinking that we won't do, or that perhaps will be different in the future and not do it again, but then ultimately we end up doing so later down the line. Unfortunately, procrastinating is a really easy habit to slip into. We'll say things like, I'll write up the notes of my lecture tomorrow. I'll start my essay later today. I'll start revising after the weekend. But you'll be surprised how fast time can slip away and how therefore a few weeks to write an essay can turn into a few days. And the reality is you can't produce your best work if you leave yourself little time. So don't kid yourself into pretending this doesn't apply to you. And try to build a good work ethic as soon as possible, because it's hard to break habits once they are formed. Fill out the blanks in your timetable with blocks for things like studying or writing essays. For me personally, I often find it's also just better to put some of those less welcome tasks that we have to do from time to time as the first thing of the day. Don't put it off, just get them done. If you find it too easy to turn on Netflix or Disney Plus, if you're working from home or from your room, then go to the library. Perhaps find a friend with whom you can study together if it helps make the activity more interesting. The fourth tip is to get to know your lecturers. All of these tips are really useful, but I especially like this one. When you first arrive, it seems scary to consider approaching one of your lecturers to ask a question. You think the question you ask is perhaps stupid, or that you're wasting their time by bothering them. Remember, this is just those irrational thoughts that we talked about, so just take a breath and relax. The truth is there's never such thing as a stupid question. Not understanding something or wanting more clarification is normal, and it's part of learning. Second, you're not bothering any of us by wanting to get some advice or ask a question. This is literally what we are here for. So the next time you have a question, go right ahead. Often you might have a forum you can ask it on, and the lecturer will respond. You can also go speak to them individually if you find out when their drop-in sessions are. If you don't feel comfortable enough with either of those just yet, then perhaps send them a polite email with your question and they will get back to you. And once you start to realise that nothing bad happened by asking a question, maybe you'll feel more confident to ask another question the next time one comes to you. And finally, look for opportunities. It may seem like a long way to go now, but you'll be surprised at how fast the degree goes. And so you do want to keep one eye on the future and what you might want to do beyond this degree. It's okay if you don't know just now, but doing volunteer work, placements, internships, whether paid or unpaid, are going to look great on your CV, regardless of what you end up choosing to do, whether that work was even strongly related to your future career choices. And sometimes these opportunities might help you understand further what it is you would like to do, or at least knock off one thing that you wouldn't want to do long term. In some cases, like being a research assistant, these experiences can be really useful in supporting your learning in your degree, because you will do a lot of things that may relate to some of the things that you have come across. So there we have it, 5 tips for starting your degree. If you have any tips or advice you would give to a student starting their degree, then comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel so you can be notified about the latest releases. See you next time.
Thank you for watching the Psychology Debrief. If you have any suggestions for new topics, quizzes, or any other content psychology related, feel free to get in touch via email or Twitter. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye!